The dinosaurs are still not extinct. Jurassic Park lives on in one way or another. Yes, it's back again. So let's see what's happening in this next dinosaur adventure, starting with the IMDb plot. 5 years post Jurassic World Dominion, an expedition braves isolated equatorial regions to extract DNA from three massive prehistoric creatures for a groundbreaking medical breakthrough. That was much tougher to say than expected. All right. Yeah, so we have dinosaurs again. So I'm sure, if you're kind of worn out of the dinosaur thing, maybe you don't care, probably not watching this. But if you're hanging around it and still watching, we're here to kind of talk about it, a little bit. I still like the dinosaurs one way or the other. Yeah, I get it. It can be tiring in some ways, and some of the things they do. But, let's see. Maybe they can try to do something different here. Since this is kind of still fairly new, I'll try to keep this spoiler free. I don't know that there's too many twists and turns here. It pretty much sticks to kind of what it said there in the summary. But anyway, we'll leave something for you to kind of guess at, I guess. There's dinosaurs, whatever. So yeah, we have, as it says, a couple of years later. It actually, in the beginning of the movie, it actually kind of goes back a little bit further, kind of shows, like, I guess the beginning of the experiments or while they were doing the experiments, if you saw the previous one and how they started mixing these dinosaurs together and stuff. Of course, another bad human idea. I mean, it's questionable to even bring the dinosaurs back, but then you start creating your own ones and mixing them together. Yeah, I don't know. Us humans, we just can't help it. But yeah, so you kind of see a little clip early on of kind of going back, and that'll eventually come full circle by the end of the movie. And you get introduced, early on to, of course, Scarlett Johansson's character. And, she's kind of like a hired gun, mercenary sort of type. You probably wouldn't kind of guess it, but, sort of is. And she gets hired by basically this pharmaceutical company, or a guy representing the company. And, they want to go and get some blood from some dinosaurs, some real life dinosaurs, in the area of the world where basically the dinosaurs only live now. There are apparently, a few dinosaurs here or there that kind of get out of their realm, as you'll see in the beginning. But for the majority, they live in a certain part of the world now. The ones that are still surviving and out there, and I guess people kind of know they're there and are told to, stay away, which is a good idea. So he hires her to go along with a scientist type. We always have to have a scientist type, someone who knows the dinosaurs and what they're going to do, or what they're thinking, or where to find them, and all that good stuff. So always got to have a scientist. So we have the scientist, we have this, the guy who hires them, and Scarlett Johansson, who's basically going to lead the way here. I'm getting introduced to some other people because, you can't just take three people on a boat. Some other people that go along with them. And, they go on their adventure to find these three dinosaurs and get their blood. There's another half of the story. We have a family, as, this kind of goes along a little bit. We find ourselves with a family, a father, two daughters, one really young one, and one that's about to go to college, and her boyfriend, that are on this, sailboat, kind of sailing along, doing their thing. We get a little introduction to them, and then they're attacked by a dinosaur, and the boat kind of flips over, and they need rescue. And of course, the only ones around, because you're not really supposed to be sailing in too many of these territories, is, of course, this ship that they're Scarlett Johansson and them are on to go get this dinosaur blood. So they go and they make the decision that they hear the mayday, to go save the family. So they do. So you have everybody on board, and this is where the adventure kind of really starts. Um, and then it's pretty much that from there. Again, I guess I go one touch further. Eventually, let's just say the sides get split up again. The family kind of gets put on their own, and then the rest of the group gets put on their own, to kind of survive. And obviously, the family's just looking to survive, and obviously, the other ones are still looking for dinosaur DNA. So whatever. And then, but at the end of the day, everybody's looking to get out of the situation alive, which not many are. Well, actually, some are, and obviously you can tell almost immediately who is, who's not. But yeah, so that's basics, the ball game there. So what's to be said about this dinosaur adventure? First, again, they still continue to do a very good job with the dinosaurs. I enjoy it. I don't know what you guys may think of them. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't. If you don't, you're probably not watching. But I still enjoy it. I still think they do pretty good job here. The T-Rex is obviously, one of the figures here, obviously, and I think it's been in every movie, at least one of them. Obviously, you get one in this one, and I'm going to mention something else in a minute. But you get one, and he actually is doing something a little bit different. I don't think we've seen one do this in one of these movies yet. And it's actually kind of funny. They have a little fun with it before he kind of goes on his rampage. So we get that. And then you'll see probably a dinosaur or two, considering they end up basically on the island where Dominion was and where they were doing the experiments. We do get to see some of the dinosaurs that we saw in the previous one. So, not a whole lot of new dinosaurs here. So we'll see some of the ones that we saw before, particularly at the end. And so I still again think they do a good job with the dinosaurs and so forth. Wish they could mimic that effort with sharks, but they don't. I say it in all my shark reviews. The CGI with the sharks is just terrible, and it can bring dinosaurs really to life in a really good way, and just epically fail with the stupid sharks. Come on now. Anyway, to kind of mention what I was referring to a second ago, one of the things that I kind of liked about this one is they kind of tried to do a little bit different of a story here. Maybe not completely. I mean, it kind of all ends up going the same direction. But, I guess one thing I liked, it was kind of absent the theme park. We've kind of seen that a couple of times now. And, not everyone is always tied so much to the theme park, but, we get, intertwined in that and so forth, and the chaos of that. And obviously it kind of makes sense, but, we can kind of move on now. And I'm glad they kind of moved on and realized that now a couple of times the theme park has not worked. Lots of deaths. I don't even know how anybody would allow that kind of theme park again, ever. And so yeah, this one, is, even though it's kind of in the area where they were doing experiments and so forth, again, we're absent the theme park, which I thought was a good thing. And I thought it was also a good thing that, the dinosaurs are almost starting off kind of in their natural environment. And I know even within the theme park, they're kind of in their natural environment. But, again, there is, an outside layer here. Some of it was in their natural places, and so forth. So that was kind of, it's not totally, there's still some human stuff here and there. and particularly at the end. But at least we kind of start off going with them in their natural habitat, I guess. So I kind of liked that. I thought, of course they give us the opening scene. We get a little tease of dinosaur action there. Uh, but then, I thought, we had a little extended part there before it really kind of kicks in, and I thought it was kind of very slow. Like, it just, I don't know. I think they needed to kind of get through maybe that beginning part just a little bit faster. Um, they oddly make Scarlett Johansson's character, even when they're kind of on the boat before any dinosaur action starts, continue to go on about the previous mission and her being sad about a guy that died on it, and they mention that like 2 or 3 times. I guess they kind of go out of the way early on to add some character depth to them. And, even the guy that's driving the boat, he also has, talks a little bit about family issues and whatever. I'm just like, what? Like, why? Like, I mean, whether these characters die or not, I mean, whatever. Like, who cares? Can we just get to the dinosaurs, move on, move the boat faster? Like, what are we having these conversations for? Like, I don't know. I didn't really know what was going on there, why we needed that. But we get past that. So, um, like, talk generally about the dinosaurs themselves, but as far as the action, I think we get a really cool boat scene. Not totally when the family kind of flips over. I mean, that's a little dramatic. But I guess when everybody is then on the main boat, and then they get attacked by some other dinosaurs, and then the big dinosaur. So I thought that was a pretty cool scene, and how they did with the dinosaurs there. Again, putting sharks to shame, and I thought that was a really nice scene there. How they did that, and kind of action packed. It is PG-13, so you kind of see blood here or there, but you don't really get total dinosaur eating people kind of thing, and that's a little bit of a shame. Really, I guess we have to get the bad CGI dinosaur movies if we really want some blood splattering horror here. But you do get some deaths of some people here. But yeah, you always kind of want more. Or I guess, and I guess they save all their real PG-13 death by dinosaur to always that one guy or one person that, you wait the entire movie to be eaten or killed or whatever. And, that's usually the person, I guess, they save most of their rating on to die. So, we kind of get that here again. So yeah, I thought that scene was really nice. Like I said, the T-Rex is going to be there doing something unusual to start. What he does in his scene, kind of shows that at least this T-Rex is kind of a little bit more advanced in his hunting. Maybe ultimately not as successful as he wanted, but definitely shows some interesting technique in what he was doing there. Besides, what we see him start with. There's another scene where the boyfriend goes and he's using the bathroom in the jungle. And again, one of the things they do is, I know some of the previous movies were heavy on the raptors, but this one is not heavy on the raptors. So whether I kind of enjoyed them, but I guess it was, time to kind of move on from that as well. There is a brief scene where you kind of see two raptors come, but in the scene where he is using the restroom, I guess, in the jungle. And, then another dinosaur is going to come and intervene. And, I thought that was a pretty good scene, although I would have liked to see a little bit more of what was happening. Like, they were kind of hiding it a little bit because we were seeing the camera shot from, shooting, forward to him and then what was going on behind him, but you couldn't see every single thing that was going on behind him. So, it was good, but also bad. Like, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of everything that was going on behind him. But he was kind of like blocking the view. So it's kind of like move, duck, just get out of the way so I can see what's happening here. But, whatever. I guess it is what it is. Yeah, now to think about it, I guess was almost as much of the dinosaur versus dinosaur action that we got in the movie. I think, obviously at the end of the previous one, you had obviously the huge scene with the main dinosaur and then the T-Rex and the raptors and all that. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of dinosaur versus dinosaur in this one. What else to say? And I guess, one thing that was a little bit of drag in this one, and I don't know if I'm guessing when you kind of budget for this kind of thing, you're going to spend X amount of money on the actors you're going to have in this, and it's not her fault, but I'm going to assume they spent most of their acting money, the money set aside for actors for Scarlett. This is just an assumption, no fact here or whatever. But I don't know. I guess, especially coming off the previous one where you had so many returning actors and so forth, and some really big names, and obviously some people have done Jurassic Park before. The acting was really good, and the characters were really the characters. And here we're kind of getting introduced to a whole new characters in this world. But then the acting, I don't know, like it didn't stand out, and I didn't even think even her, I don't think this was her best performance. Like, I mean, I like her. I'm not overblown by her and her acting, but she's not bad, and not it's not terrible, but and she's pretty decent in the Marvel movies. But even her here, and I'm not even going to blame it all on her. I just think that maybe some of the writing here, the character they kind of set up here, wasn't totally hugely amazing here. Like I said, they tried to do this whole thing where she's mourning the death of the person before, blah blah. She starts off kind of slick there in the first introduction with the pharmaceutical guy, but after that, I don't know. She has a line here or there, but it's just not the same. And while there are some funny moments here or there, obviously not a comedy. I didn't think any character kind of carried any kind of huge comic element to it. Maybe the boyfriend a little bit, but it just wasn't enough. Even him in the end of the day was kind of an odd character. I know what they were trying to do with the father not knowing whether to like him for the daughter or not. So he was being a little bit of the comic relief, but also kind of going through that. So that also really didn't function 100%. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was maybe all the acting, maybe it's a little bit of a combination of the acting and the writing. I don't know. It just and again coming off one where you had so many good great actors in it, I guess it just wasn't the same. So yeah, acting was not 100% in this one. Not 100%. Not totally distracting to the movie, but still not amazing. And I'll kind of maybe give a little bit of blame to the writing in this one as well. So yeah, I did like some of the things, like they kind of changed the direction and not doing the theme park thing and so forth, and some of the action scenes were pretty good. The storyline not too complicated. I think they also used a couple of chances to kind of get some messages in, which sometimes they do in the Jurassic Park movies. About nature and what we do to nature and so forth, and obviously pharmaceutical companies and what they're doing in the world, and with drugs and all that. So we get a little bit of messaging in it too. But I guess we could use a little bit of that. So no big issue there. So yeah, it's at the end of the day here. I guess it's a little bit of a mixed bag here. But really, when you get down to it, is the dinosaurs, and I thought it was pretty decent. I guess at the end we didn't get, even I guess thinking about it now, I guess the end scene, we didn't get a grand epic ending. It was some drama and so forth. I guess, like I mentioned, we don't have raptors, but we get these other things that kind of look like they're, mutant raptors. That kind of smart too. But they can also kind of fly or look like they can fly. I don't know. But anyway, they were pretty cool. So you get a little bit of tension and drama at the end, but I don't think, it's also, again, kind of absent of a huge, big dinosaur battle at the end. It's more like, can you just escape as opposed to a fight? So, I think, maybe some of the dinosaur action early on was decent, maybe not a grand finale like we sometimes get. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, this one is just a huge mixed bag. Obviously made a lot of money. It is Jurassic Park. I'm sure in one way or the other we'll see another part somewhere down the line, until we, decide we're going to get rid of them permanently or what we're doing here. But yeah, I think, let me see here. Yeah, I guess 6.2 here on IMDb means good, but I guess, it could have been better. But not bad, I guess. But obviously made a lot of money, and I guess, we know that that's the whole thing at the end of the day. So, yeah, I'm kind of in my head going back and forth about kind of what I want to rate it, and I was thinking, 3 pools of blood, but now that I've said everything I think I'm going to give it 2.5. I'm going to go, down the middle, 2.5 pools of blood out of 5. Appreciated some things, but not the most amazing of all the movies. But I still enjoyed it, though. I still enjoyed it, even though, maybe I'm not giving it the huge ratings, a bigger score here. I still enjoyed it, and I can say that about most of the Jurassic Park movies. Maybe some are obviously better than others, and so forth. But I think at the end of the day, I still kind of enjoy just the dinosaur action and seeing. I don't know. I guess if you like dinosaurs or intrigued by it, there's just something about it. So, I guess I just have a little bit of a soft spot there for them. Maybe they'll win. We'll see. Maybe with the end of this whole Jurassic Park thing, we'll see who wins between us and them. Maybe they will win this time. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, again, 2.5 pools of blood out of 5 for this one. HorrorSquareReviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews written in video. Certainly tons of video reviews for a long time now. So you can like and subscribe and do everything else that everybody wants to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well, so feel free to join me there. Talk about Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, anything dinosaurs and whatever. Horror, of course, something you want me to review. And obviously in the comment section, your thoughts on this movie, your thoughts on the franchise and where it is. And do you want to see more dinosaurs, or is this about it for you? So with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.